Yeah, 10. Hey, everybody. It is just another beautiful day in Colorado. It actually looks like this in Colorado. It's real beautiful. And my friend Andrew is getting ready to come on is a guy that loves the outdoors. So he's like a mountain biking guru stud and just love what we're going to talk about today. Because yesterday I shared a lot of my story about my mental breakdown, how off my mental health, my mental wellness was back, in 2011, 2012, and 13. And I wish I would have known a lot of what we're getting ready to talk about today. But again, I don't want to talk much today. I want to hear from my buddy Andrew. So, Andrew, you give me a thumbs up in the green room. I'll bring you on. He's ready. All right, cool. Let's do this. There he is.
Hello.
There he is. Andrew's up in good old northern Colorado. I'm in like middle lateral Colorado. So, what's up with you today, Andrew?
Just finished up a bit of music with one of my kids and hopped on here. So it's a good day so far.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know your wife did a post. I think it was yesterday about like homeschooling and stress and life and all those kind of things too. Which we're getting close to that here pretty soon.
Yeah, we've been homeschooling for about 5 years. We have 4 kids, 9, 10, 10, and just turned 12. So two from the foster care that we adopted. And, that's wonderful and stressful and challenging and all that mix in marriage. And who are we? How do we help these kids blend? And we've definitely learned how to work on our own mental wellness over that season.
Yeah, well, you're one thing I love about you. I mean, your family's awesome, and the Shedders, who I know well, and that's how we kind of got to know you guys. And you just like said so much right there that you've adopted a couple of children, and that's you got to have a big heart to do that, and even a big God to do that kind of stuff
Yeah.
too, and navigate that. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it stemmed. My dad was adopted, and there was a lot of drama in that. And then we were over in Kenya, and we were working in a school, and it was on a trip. So it wasn't like we weren't doing like a mission trip or anything, but part of the trip was a day of service, and we were surrounded by these kids, and my heart just went out to them. And we came back, and this sounds so cheesy, but I watched the movie Machine Gun Preacher, which
Okay.
is the guy from the movie 300 and P.S. I Love You. What's his anyway? I'm just trying to remember. Gerald Butler, and there was a scene in there where he's an addict, he's a criminal, and he cleans himself up, and he's on a mission trip over in Rwanda, and he saves a lot of kids from a guerrilla attack, not the fuzzy ones, and and I remember just like going, I'm supposed to help kids, but what does that mean? And so we've looked into international adoption. We looked into, um, Kenya, Rwanda. We looked into Haiti. And then honestly, we're at a church service, and there was 600 kids in Colorado that need a home today in the foster care system, and people don't want to take them because they're generally from an abusive background. And I was like, 600 kids. And the irony was, just over there, the house just over there, uh, our girls were staying there, and we were their fourth or fifth foster home.
Wow.
They've been in and out the system for 4 years, and when they got here, we're like, you can bank on us, you can count on us, and so I wouldn't say I had the greatest childhood, just with I had a big accident when I was 8 and spent a long, long time learning how to rewalk. I had a lot of neck damage as well, and in and out of school with neck issues, leg issues, and just for me, I self medicated and dealt with all of that. So it's coming that full circle of how do we take, and I heard this. They said, wounded people wound people, and
Mm-hmm.
transform people transform people. And I thought, well, how can I make the pain that I've gone through something that gives me strength, something that can catapult me forward, rather than that poor me sort of mentality of, why did this all have to happen to me? Going,
Right.
okay, well, it did. What can we do with it? And I think God being that redeemer is like, hey, I'm going to use that brokenness and I'm going to do something. So, they've been adopted now for 3 years. They're awesome. We have 2 kids, 7 days apart, and then the youngest one's 11 months younger than those two. So, been a wild journey, but it's been great as well.
Yeah. Well, even what we're going to talk about today is just, as I kind of Tyler was talking, like, anxiety and stress and like how to overcome that. But even knowing like what you and I know now, it would have been nice to know this 5, 6, 8, 10 years, 30 years later or earlier, right?
Yeah. It's been, I didn't know that you could do things that helped you, apart from have a drink where you get out of that craziness for a little bit, but then you come back into it. So then you try and do more and excess. Excuse me. And what I found is there's things that, like you said, I love mountain biking. That to me is mental wellness. I don't do it because I want to get fitter, get leaner. I do it because I get to blow the steam out. And I think it's so important. And there's a lot of ways you can blow steam out. A lot of them you get arrested.
Yep, right here. Yep. Yeah.
And even if it's motorcycles or cars or anything like that, there's speed limits. But with mountain biking, you can go as fast as you safely want. And it's just being up there, seeing creation is something fantastic. So making sure that I'm a priority. And even a couple of last week, and we had a date night, and my wife said, what do you want to do? I said, I'd like to work on our marriage. And so we broke out some marriage counseling stuff, and we watched some videos and we talked about it. And I remember my oldest kid the next day said, well, what did you do on your date, Dad? I said, we worked on our marriage. She goes, but you have a good marriage, why would you need to work on it? I said, that's why we have a good marriage. So making sure that we're putting things into our week where we are working together as a couple. The conversations were great and needed. And then getting out for a blowout, whether it's on a road bike or on a mountain bike, is important. Playing guitar. But then I've also found my nutrition plays a huge part on how I deal with stress. And and we've all felt, I would say in the past I've dealt with a lot more social anxiety than what people realize. But then finding things that actually work to give me a longer fuse as a dad, which is absolutely vital. You talk about bringing 2 kids into your home and they don't want to be there. It's like if people have this image of you take a kid from foster care and you tell them you're going to be adopted, it's not like, oh, thank you. It is, who are you? What are you doing? It's like, what can I get away with? What can I not get away with? What are the rules of this house? So I found anything I could do to give me a longer fuse. And I would repeat, love is patient, love is kind. It does not boast, it's slow to anger. And I'd go over that again and again and again mentally, saying that's how I'm going to show love today. But then getting into the nutrition side, I know there's foods that spiral me down, but they take me out of it for the moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's so good, but then it's this rush of like this high peak and this really deep valley sometimes with the food.
yeah, so I eat for my children, I eat for my wife, I eat for my work. All of these things come in that is absolutely vital. If I want to be the dad that I always want to be, I think everybody sets out with an image of what type of parent they would like to be. And nobody says a jerk. Nobody says an impatient, angry, frustrated, easily annoyed father. But that's how I felt I was being. And that doesn't improve marriage. And again, nobody says, I'd really like a distant marriage where we're ships in the night, and and if we do talk, we argue. Nobody wants that, but that's a lot of what I was experiencing. And I was like, okay, I'm not the dad, I'm not the husband, I'm not mountain biking, I'm not playing guitar, I'm not enjoying myself. This is horrible. And then going, okay, well, what are some things that I can sustainably do? And That's when we stumbled on the microbiome, and we were looking at anything we could do to improve these kids. And one of them obviously was nutrition, nature, nurture. We looked into that. We had therapies going. But my wife came across a magazine in UCLA, and their hospital magazine was talking about microbiome and learning disabilities. So she brought the magazine home, and we started reading it, and we're like, microbiome, that's fascinating. That this could really help the kids. And it was almost like you've discovered that, water's going to make your tree grow. And you're like, yes, this is the thing that's going to fix the tree. Where do we get water from? How do we do it? How, it's like we felt like the magazine article and our research led us to believe that this was the answer for our kids, yet we didn't know how to do it. We're like, well, do we get yogurt? Do we get different types of, like, how do we get these good bacteria in their digestive system that improves mental function? And it just so happened at the same time, a friend of mine called Rich Higbee was starting this company called Amari, and focused on the microbiome and mental wellness. And another guy that I'd met years ago was a guy called Pat Hentz, and his daughter was severely mentally and physically disabled. And Pat is an incredible dad to his daughter, and his daughter's a now grandfather. And I was like, you guys are starting this microbiome thing? I haven't heard about anybody doing this. And he said, well, why don't you come out and meet with the doctor? And so we flew out, met with Dr. Sean, and he opened up. It was like discovering the Amazon rainforest for the first time. It was like you walk in, and it was like, oh, there's monkeys and there's parrots, and there's like, it was like suddenly this veil had been lifted, and we're like, wow, this makes so much sense. And so many people now have like, wow, this is this what you're telling me makes absolute sense. It's like, yeah, the gut and the brain is connected. The gut, it helps us produce serotonin. And you think about food allergies, sensitivities have gone absolutely through the roof. But depression, before all this craziness with lockdown and COVID and everything, depression was the leading cause of disability in the US.
Wow.
And they predicted that was going to hit in 2030. And we smashed it out the park.
Yeah, we did.
2018, 2019. And so we've got this epidemic right now of people that are tired mentally, physically, that their guts are off, their digestion's off, their behavior's off. They're not behaving in a way that they want you to be. And we found that if we approach it from the whole human, it's spiritually, it's mentally, it's physically, and it's emotionally. It's not just, hey, take some pills and everything's going to be great. It's like, well, are you getting outside? Are you eating? Are you relaxing? And that was something I had to learn how to do, is to relax. Because I felt like if I relaxed for myself, I wasn't being the dad, and I wasn't being the husband, I wasn't being the business guy that I could be, because while they're sleeping, you're working, hustle. And that just increases burnout on a massive scale.
I can relate to that for sure. Yeah, it's huge what you're talking about, because I mean, even in my world, I do a lot of the world of addiction, right? And it's, I mean, people that come in, into recovery from addiction have all this stress and depression and unworthiness and all those things. So, and then when you watch, I'm just gonna say your family unit, because I watch your family, not with cameras, but yeah. So we're very, very, but it's like you see the dynamics of just healthy lifestyle and healthy living. And I think that's what everybody wants, but they don't know how to do like this. You mentioned this like gut brain, and talk a little bit about like, the thought of, I got butterflies in my stomach when people get nervous. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah. And so I feel like, we've used the phrase gut feeling, butterflies in my stomach. We've had one of my adopted kids, for some reason, she had some associations, and she'd be like, oh, my tummy's off, Dad, I think I'm going to be sick. And it was like certain restaurants we would take her in. I don't know if she went there before us, and it was just like, boom, shut down.
Mm.
you know, and there's so much connection. Like I heard 90% of our serotonin is produced from the bacteria in our gut, where Prozac makes us make 10% more in our brain. So if we can get this working, we can get this working better. And even like there's certain bacterial strains that will improve your body's ability to make melatonin. And again, the oldest, we were in Denver for a business event, and we all slept in the same hotel room. And so she's in the bed next to me, and I could see her swinging at night. And so I went up, and she clocked me, and I said, "Darling, it's all right. You're safe. You're safe." And she's like, and her bed every night looked like she'd had a wrestling match, pillows thrown all over the place. And then I was like, "Okay, what can we do for that?" And we worked, talked with Dr. Sean, and we got her melatonin production up, and it was amazing, the difference. That girl head is on the pillow, she wakes up, sheets are on top of her, and she wakes up and she's like, "Good morning, Dad." And people have said, "Oh, you guys just make good kids," and I was like, "You have no idea what the work
Right.
put in." And so it is. So we've got, we know certain foods trigger, we know other foods balance them, and but then really making sure that we're optimizing their gut from that standpoint. And we've just seen a transformation in behavior, and their bodies are healthy. We haven't had any sickness in this house for probably, I would say, at least a year and a half. And
Wow.
with everything going on, our kids have just got vibrant immune systems. And there's times that I'll feel a dip, but now I know exactly what to do with my microbiome to get my immune system firing again. And again, some people, they're pounding the bodies with like things to boost their immune system. If you're overstimulating your immune system all your time, your immune system is going to look for things to attack. This is autoimmune disease. So we don't want to have our immune system ramped up all the time. We want it normal, but then if we need to pick it up because we're feeling like the sore throat or anything like that, we know what to do, but we don't keep doing that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it totally does. And your analogy of the bed is actually amazing because, like, my son's a very restless sleeper a lot of times, and he's 12. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of the difference and things going on inside his own head and his body.
yeah,
But I started paying attention to what you had been talking a lot about, and I want to get, like, even in what Amare represents in this mental wellness perspective, right? And I put him on some of this mood
yeah,
product that we have in Stings, and I've seen a total change. In, like, last night, my wife and daughter were gone at her mom's house, and Zeke and my son and I were hanging out here, and he hasn't done this in a while, but he was in the hallway and he just started like dancing and being
yeah,
goofy,
yeah,
and so I'm seeing a change in him already because I'm like, man, he should be going down this pathway in my daughter for the things that I'm doing for my own
yeah,
anxiety and stress levels. So I've seen a big change in him to where that analogy of the now obviously they were tossing and turning based on what you're saying about your daughter, right?
yeah.
Different reasons, but I've seen that change in his bed in the morning. That's kind of funny you said that.
No, but it is. It's like if you don't get into that deep REM sleep, you don't emotionally recover. You can physically recover without getting there, but you don't emotionally recover. And then my oldest biological daughter, and we've always been like super tight, but it was last year. I felt like me and her were just going on different paths, and I remember going, "Wow, is this how it's going to be in her teenage years?" She hit that 12, and I was like, well, is it that, or is it something that I can help with? And so we changed the supplements, more omega 3s for brain function, her mood, sleep. And it's funny, like she thanks me, I would say daily right now. And this has been going on for probably at least 6 months. She goes, "Thank you so much, Dad, for being like our relationship so special. We're so close." And it's back to how I believe it should be. And I think so many times we think normal. We had a season where my oldest again was getting sick before Amari, and huge amounts of her hair were coming out, and she was getting sick like every month, like just in bed sick. And I took her to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Well, it's normal for a kid to get sick every month." I said, "It's normal?" I said,
Hmm.
It might be for who you see, but this
Yeah.
isn't normal for my daughter. I said, it's abnormal. And he's like, no, no, kids are supposed to be. The average kid is sick. I was like, there's a big difference between normal and average. I said,
Right.
the average person doesn't have good health. It doesn't mean it's normal. I said, the average person's paycheck to paycheck. It doesn't mean that's normal, you know? And I said, the average marriage is struggling. Doesn't mean that's normal. You know, normal should be vibrancy. It should be health. And anyway, she ended up in hospital for a week. And, you know, they threw around all these, like, hey, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this.
Wow.
And she got pretty sick. But what it was parasites in a digestive system robbing her body of nutrients.
Wow.
And so we killed those parasites. We worked on improving her health, and you know she's got the thickest hair now. You know,
Nice.
any hair loss at all. But that was a strange and stressful season. So you could see that this digestive system that knocked her out. You know, it's like a whole body. So if you're not absorbing your food, how can you be healthy?
Mm.
You know, so we really have done a boatload of research. My wife was a nurse, and so when she went through nursing school, they basically talked about this being a tube.
Mm.
And you know that it's not a tube now. It's a biodiverse ecosystem. And so many people, they're lacking the bacteria that they need for optimum health. So I've seen how bacteria, if you've ever had food poisoning, you know what bad bacteria can do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had that a few months ago with some Indian food, and it brought me to my knees like that. So if there's bad bacteria, there's good bacteria. And when we're working on making sure the good stuff's good, like this is going to sound crazy, but genetically, the DNA in your body and my body, we're only 1% human. 99% of the DNA in the human body is from bacteria. And that bacteria can make you crave. If alcohol makes that bad bacteria grow, science is showing that they will make you crave more alcohol because they want to expand and multiply.
Right.
If it's broccoli, you will start craving broccoli, which sounds wild. But most people, their ratio to bad bacteria to good bacteria is so off that they're giving into these cravings constantly. So if we can wipe the bad bacteria out and then repopulate the gut, it not only helps you absorb your food so much more effectively, but my relationship with my daughter's back. You know, my daughter, who's been through a lot of trauma, sleeps all night long on a pillow. You know, that they're mentally awake, that they're sweet girls, you know, which was not the case when they came. And then for me, my testosterone was shot. And what I learned is when my testosterone's low, I can't think clearly. My anger, everyone's heard of like roid rage, with like guys on steroids. Well, what I found, it's not actually when they're on steroids, it's when they come off it and they've got no testosterone. That's when their anger goes through the roof. And so I was feeling angry. I gained a load of weight around my waist and my muscle went down. I was like, I'm eating great. I'm working out. I'm getting fatter and weaker. And I'd get out of breath because testosterone makes your body make hemoglobin. So we were driving over like Vale Pass, you know, at 11,000 feet. And I'd be like,
Just driving in a car?
just driving.
Dang.
And, you know, just so mountain biking felt like I was riding with a sock in my mouth. And, you know, I was like, what's happening? And it went to the doctors. And the doctors said, well, you've got the testosterone of an 80-year-old man. And I was like, huh. And they said, well, that's normal for someone your age.
Normal again, right?
And I was like, well, how? It would be normal for a 40-year-old man if it was normal, because I was 40 at the time. And they were like, well, you know, a lot of guys your age have this issue. And I was like, why? Don't know. And I said, so what are my options? They said, well, we could give you testosterone shots, but that's going to increase your risk of heart disease and cancer. And I was like, awesome. Two things that kill my whole family. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I can either be energetic, lean, strong, and be able to breathe and increase my risk of heart disease and cancer. Or I can be tired and grumpy and easily angered, fatter, weaker, and decrease my risk of cancer. And I was like, I just don't like those two options. So again, went to the main doctor at Mari and I said, what's your take on this? And he said, well, have you ever had your cortisol levels checked? And I said, yeah. I said, they were through the roof at night. And he's like, did you ever have trauma? And I said, yeah, massive trauma as a kid. And I said, and I said, it was years. And he said, well, when a male's body produces cortisol, it can't produce testosterone.
Wow.
I was like, oh. And I said, well, what do I do? Like, do I take testosterone? He's like, well, why don't we just address your cortisol levels? And I was like, well, how do I do that? And again, the same product you were mentioning before, Mood. And he said, well, that really helps keep your cortisol levels in check. And sure enough, I got on the Mood. I started on the sleep so I could have a deeper, more restful sleep. Body fat went down, muscle went up, my mental focus went up, my breathing going over Vale Pass was normal. And I was like, holy crap, this is what it feels like to feel strong again, to feel driven again. And because my drive for life was just going down and down. And I was just like, it's normal. Once you hit 40, people tell me it's all downhill. And I've just decided to stop listening to all of them.
Yeah.
And I have never felt better in my life, ever. Like 2015, I'm 42. I've never felt better. My wife, she's playing at a level that I've never seen her play before. As a mother, as a wife, as a homeschooler to the 4 kids. I nearly said 5 then. I don't know where that came from, but maybe one more's coming. But and then as a businesswoman, it's like there is so much demands on us as adults now. If you could have a way where you felt better, you were more focused, more driven, more creative, and you felt happier, healthier, and more joy just by getting your gut in line, then the yoga then sounds more appealing. The hike sound, when you're like, oh, I'm struggling. Well, you should go for a hike. Yeah, I know I should, but I don't want to. Have you tried meditation? Yeah, but my mind's racing. And what about yoga? What about prayer? What about all these things? Don't seem like I want to do it. Even though I knew they were good for me, I didn't have the energy to do it.
Right.
And what I've found is I've never met an energetic depressed person.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. So what came first? The lower energy, depression, or was it depression that caused the lower energy? And I was like, well, if I could double someone's energy, how would you feel? People go, oh, I'd feel better. If I could help you feel more happiness and joy, then what does the world look like? And it's better. And I got a guy who's like, it's weird. I've never been a runner, but I'm waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, fully alert, fully rested, and wanting to go for a run. He said, it's the craziest thing. And that's what I found. When we feel good, we want to do something with that energy. Where when we don't feel good, we want to sort of conserve the energy. And that normally means, for me, it was the couch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we feel better, we want to do more. And that's like a lot of the guys I talk to, work with, and talk about this exact same thing. I'm like, if I can get you to feel better, what would that do for your life? Like, oh man, it'd be crazy. I could do this. So what's stopping us from taking that step to just feel better? And if it doesn't work, you can always go back to feeling bad.
Yeah. So I feel like if we focus on the microbiome, that's like the springboard to helping us achieve other things in life. And it's the thing that most people haven't tried. Like, when we spent the last 100 years focused on mental wellness here, and it hasn't worked. It's like we've got more and more and more medications out there. Now, don't get me wrong, some people need medication, but I feel like the majority of people, if they work on getting the serotonin and dopamine production optimized, the whole world's going to look different. And I saw this great t-shirt once, and it had the chemical structure of dopamine and serotonin on the t-shirt, and it said, technically, the only 2 things that you care about. And I was like, yeah. And whether you get that from gardening and you're like, oh, this is great, you get that oxytocin release, whether it's intimacy with your partner, whether it's climbing a mountain, whether it's shooting something into your arm, or slamming 10 beers, or going at 150 miles an hour on a motorcycle, it's all giving you the same compounds. You're just choosing a different vehicle to meet your needs. And I found if we can give somebody those compounds, then they don't need the self-destructive tendencies to try and get it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I told everything you said is making sense. And that's, as I said in the beginning, I wish I would have known that.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known this information
Yeah.
again back in 2012 before I had my mental breakdown that, sent me to prison for a little while. And
Yeah.
I look back and I'm like, well, if God didn't want that to happen, he could have stopped it. So therefore it happened. So I can be in this position now to hear what you're saying. And again, grateful, like Tim Shetter reached out to my wife and said, hey, and I blew him off for a while too. Cause I was like, dude, I don't need any products. I'm good, but I wasn't. And I was too just in my own head to say, I need some help. So I'm totally stoked and grateful for what, like looking at a guy like you and saying, man, like, and you're a guy, again, your history and work and everything. I mean, we're doing with Tony Robbins and John Maxwell and speaking. And then you said earlier, like, I'm kind of a shy guy, or not shy. You said something, I forget what the word was, but
yeah,
like,
it's like I would go on a stage, and there might be 3,000 people in the audience, and that felt fine. But then engaging with people after that one-on-one completely overwhelmed me. And people were like, how can you do that? And I was like, oh, I have social anxiety. And and even like at church, I'd be like tapping, like rocking, not like I was like rocking. I was just like moving around, fidgety.
yeah,
And I remember when I really got on Amari products, my wife was like, you haven't moved this whole seminar. You've sat in your seat and taken notes. And I was like, huh. Oh yeah, that's different, isn't it? She's like, that's different.
yeah,
And and now we were at an event, and she was like, oh, I'm going to go back to the room. I was like, I'll be back later. I'm just going to talk with some more people. And she's like, really? So I felt like it's helped me come out of my shell more.
yeah,
I feel like most people would have seen me as an extrovert, but inside I was like, I need to get back to my room. I need some downtime. I need to chill out. And now I still need that. I still like my own space,
yeah,
but I don't have to have it.
yeah.
I get to go. Yeah, I need some alone time for a while now. But it's not like I need it now.
Yeah, you're not like there's not this like, it's like a dopamine rush sometimes to escape, right? Because it's
Yeah,
hitting that. And earlier I mentioned, like, Tim Shetter kind of introduced me to this new world and yourself. And I've gotten to know his wife Janae over time too. She's actually going to join us in a minute. And if you want to stay on or pop off, that's cool. I want to get like kind of like this female's perspective too of anxiety and kids and family situations and how do we manage those, especially again with school coming back up now. It's like, man, the world is different and will continue to be a little different.
yeah. No, we've got to be able to adapt now. With I'm seeing so many people freak out because we chose homeschool for various reasons, but most people now are not choosing it. They're just thrown into it. And so there is more demands from a parent and an adult now than ever before. So if you were holding on before all of this, now you're going to need some support. You're going to need some help. And the great thing is with Amari, they offer a 12-month money back guarantee. And guys, if you want to learn more about it, our founder is a guy called Hip Tran, former addict himself, but he was an addict that went from an entry-level position up to selling his business 20 years later for 3.2 billion, where he is majority shareholder. But the way he dealt with the stress of being a CEO of a large company like that was prescription meds. And you see how he dealt with it and his heart for people and to make a difference in the world. He said, I've made all the money I could ever make. And he said, but I want to make a difference. I want a legacy. So you see it right from the top through the whole company. People want to help people be their best. And if you're out there and you're like, hey, you know what, I feel like, a lot of the rings, no throwback, but it's like too much, it's too little bread spread over too much butter. What is it? I'm messing up now, but the older Baggins, he's lived a long life, much longer than any hobbit, and he just feels just spread out, and that's how I feel like a lot of people are feeling now. It's like, hey, I've just got to step up. I've got to step up, and that was me for a lot of years. I'm just going to do it harder. And I crumbled. And I tell you what, when I crash, it's bad for everybody around me. So final story. When I did work for Tony Robbins, my boss, grabbed me and he's like, Andrew, you're a race car. And I said, what's that? He said, you just go. And I said, yeah. He said, when do you pit? And I was like, well, I'm just resilient. And he's like, have you ever seen the movie Cars with Lightning McQueen? And I was like, yeah. He said, remember that first scene? He's going around the racetrack and the old timers pull in to get new tires. And he's like, I'm just going to keep on going. I'm going to keep on going. Now, pop, pop, pop. And he ends up doing like 5 miles an hour.
Wow. Oh no, we lost him. I lost you. Wait, say it again. You said you just said 5 miles an hour, and then you blacked out. So
yeah, 5 miles an hour, and he's barely going. And the old timers come raging down the racetrack with fresh tires. And I was like, huh. My boss said, when was the last time you went into the mountains? And I was like, oh, just a couple of days ago. And he said, and what was your goal? I said, to destroy all of the mountain bikers on that mountain. And he said, well, when was the last time you went to the beach? And I said, oh, we went a couple of months ago. And he said, and what did you do when you were at the beach? I said, I saw kite surfing lessons. And he said, it was a 12-hour course. And he said, I'll do it in 4. And he said, and how did that go? I said, I ended up with whiplash. I said, I couldn't lift my head up off a pillow without grabbing my hair for 2 weeks. And he said, well, when do you relax? And I was like, oh, relaxing makes me stressed. And I realized if I am going to be a race car, the best race cars have the best downtime. They have the best mechanics. They have a whole team of people around them to help them. And I was very much the guy, I'll do it on my own. I'll do it. I'm going to prove to you that I'm enough. And I didn't ever ask for help. And I've seen that bite me in the butt so many times. So with Amari, if you're there and you want to try and you get some help, awesome. And Rob, you do incredible work helping people who are in that struggle of addiction. We all need help. So when everybody says, oh, would you like some help with that? We've got the house for sale. Somebody said, oh, if you want any help moving, let me know. Great. Yeah, I will be calling you. If somebody offers it now, I'm all about yes.
Yeah, that's huge. And I know Friday you're going to come back on and hang out for a little bit too. I think we'll figure out the time for that, but to kind of talk more about kind of like go into a little more deeper dive into what we're talking about too. But it's but you're an awesome man. I love what you do, what you stand for, and it's a lot about surrounding ourselves around amazing people. So let's throw another amazing person on the screen with us real quick. Janae, let's throw Janae up here with us, and we can you're on mute too, Janae. But this is awesome to have all three of you, not all three of us, the two of you on here to chat. Hey, Janae, thanks for joining us today too.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Hey, Andrew, if you want to hang around in the back, you can, or I can. If you want to pop off, or you want to hang out for a few while I talk to Janae.
I'll pop off and I'll just watch it on Facebook. How's that sound?
All right, cool, buddy. Thanks for hopping on. See you, Andrew.
Guys. All right, all the best.
Janae, thanks for making time. I know you had a busy morning. I don't like the word busy. You were having a full morning with family and activities to pop off and take a break to come hang out for a few. So thanks a bunch.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's fun to be here.
Yeah. So we're talking about anxiety in life and your journey you've gone on yourself, I think is awesome for moms and parents of children to kind of hear. But you're up in good old northern Colorado for a little while longer, right?
We are. We're trying to move, so I'm on the floor in a in a room. But yeah, we're thoroughly enjoying the weather while we can.
Yeah. A lot of life things happening that can increase our stress and anxiety to crazy limits unless we have it in check. But I would love for you to talk to, I think, the moms with kids and stuff out there. The story that you and your husband were able to share with my wife and I back when we were going through our own stuff, and you gave us this opportunity to try to find some balance.
Right.
And so what's the story of Janae Shetter?
Yeah. Well, I'll just start from the beginning. Amari fell into our laps at a time when we were searching for a solution for my husband and daughter with focus, ADD. My daughter struggled with some anger things, and we had tried diet changes. We tried supplements, essential oils. I tried it all, and she was still struggling. And it's so hard as a mom to watch your kid struggle and not know what to do to help. And so we were looking talking about, like actively talking about, well, maybe we should try a psychologist. Maybe we need to go the route of medication, which there is nothing wrong with that. I will always choose a natural solution first. So if there's something we can do naturally, that's what I want to do first. If that doesn't work and we need to look at something else, fine.
Yeah, and your husband's a counselor too, right?
Right.
So it's like you have this kind of counseling side of things too, and then this natural perspective. I just want to throw people out from you have these different perspectives to look at stuff.
Right. Yeah. He's been in the counseling field for quite a while. I'm from the social work background. I've worked with kids in mental health, and so we were coming from understanding the value of that. But so when Amari fell into relapse, that's where we were. And we said, we have nothing to lose. We have to do something. We might as well try it. And we did. And I was hopeful, but I didn't have high expectations because, like I said, we tried so many other things. I didn't know what to expect, but I was hopeful. And within a couple of weeks, we were seeing changes in both of them. My husband was more patient than he'd ever been. With ADD, there's some sensory things that go along with that. And a lot of noise in a room is one thing that was a struggle for him. And I remember one day sitting at the kitchen table with chaos going on around us, and he could focus on a conversation. And it was like, wow, this never happens. And so I saw changes in him. The biggest changes were in our daughter. Like, she had never gotten the minimum amount of sleep in her life ever. You look at all the sleep charts, she was always hours below what she needed. And a couple weeks in, she was sleeping. She was no longer the last one to go to sleep and the first one to get up. She was sleeping a full night. She got the recommended amount of sleep. And her anger issues, I can't remember the last time she had an angry outburst.
Wow.
And I'm talking angry outbursts like screaming and hitting and a 9-year-old. Like, it's not normal.
Yeah. Well, that had to be hard on you as like mom watching that and just like, gosh, this is break your heart breaking for your daughter. Like, Lord, please, like, show me a sign.
Right. And the doubt that you have as a parent, like, what am I doing wrong? Where am I failing? And it's not always about that. You can be giving it your best, and there's something else that needs to be addressed. And that was the case here. And what it did was it addressed the physical, biological things that were going on in her body. It took care of those so that then we could get down to what really is behavior that we can change. And then we all had the tools to do that, to move forward with that.
Wow. So cool. And I know Tim, and I sit there and think of Tim and this ADD world too, right? Of like, I have not done well. Like, my wife said once, like, you'd be a great children's pastor at a church. Like, I would freak the heck out because I have not done well with that. But now, thanks to you guys entering our life in this regards, I'm able to balance more of that. Now, I definitely have my days, right? Kind of like, I'm sure your daughter's not perfect and Tim's not perfect. And you're like, we have our moments, but those moments are few and far between versus the normal.
Right. And we have tools to do it. And so after the next part of the story is after I saw such a difference in them, I started taking the products too. And I didn't think I needed them. I was not looking for a solution for myself. I was helping everybody else manage. And honestly, I was having heart palpitations, facial twitches, panic. I was having panic attacks. And somehow I normalized all that. Like, this is just life as a mom of 5 kids. And it was within the first month I was having, those things started to decrease. My anxiety came down. I had days where my brain worked well. I could think of the words I wanted to say. I could have a full adult conversation.
Wow.
And I was amazed. I didn't realize how close to my limit I was living, like how bad it had gotten until things started to get better.
Yeah. Well, 5 kids, I mean, you probably, like you said, push that boundary a little bit, and then you made it past that boundary. And you're like, oh, it's like the tolerance of an addict, right? That I deal with a lot. It's like, oh, well, 6 beers isn't doing it now. I'm going to push it to 12. And it's
Yeah.
like, I can take more and more on as a mom. And,
Right.
you know, you 5 kids and Andrew Devlin, who's on a minute ago with 4 children, you know, it's like, you know, that's a lot of things to be juggling on a daily basis, and they count on you.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. And I was pouring from an empty cup. And so nobody was getting their needs met.
Wow.
Because there's nothing to give. And so when I started to feel better, I realized what it was like to have a full cup and to be able to give what I need to give and still be healthy myself.
Hold on 2 seconds. I have a daughter coming to the door, and the door's locked. Just a second. Keep telling people more of your story. I'll be right back if you want. Hold on.
Okay.
We are now back. Yeah, sorry. My daughter spent the night at her grandma's house with my wife, and they were hanging out. And when Andrew was on earlier, I don't know if you heard me sharing this, but he would talk about one of his daughters. It looked like it was like a tornado had gone through her bed every night.
Yeah.
Right, because of her stress and anxiety and the trauma in her own life, right? Which is their story to tell. But I was thinking about that with my son, who's recently started. Because I'm like, I've been, my life has changed. My anxiety has gone down. My stress, like, I feel like I'm more in check again. Not perfect, but more in check when I'm consistent with my intake of, I'll just say, Amari usage, right? That helps me out a lot. Yeah, but my kids just started using the mood, as you shared. You know, I got a 12-year-old in puberty, you know, and a 10-year-old, you know, getting close to that. And I've seen a change in him, my son, in the last 7 days or so, to where, like, last night, and he's like, again, it's puberty, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of changes. He doesn't even know what's going on.
Right.
But it was really cool last night. I almost got like tears in my eyes because it was fun, because he's a very loving, fun, goofy kid, but you can see the tugging in his brain of, like, I don't know what's going on, you know. And he was standing in the hallway with me, and he just started, like, just being goofy, like dancing in front of me. And I was like, man, I can attribute to that. I don't know, but I can see a change in the irregularities in just a short period of time. And I wish that for, like, any parents with kids or teens to even, and I'll throw us out there too, like, you know, we're not doing this to have like an Amare pitch, right? But for people that have like a need, a desire to explore something new for your family system,
Right.
I throw this out there because, you know, like, even like right now, I've talked to a lot of friends about, hey, get your kids on this, like, try it. It's 12-year money back guarantee. Just give it a shot. I mean, if you don't, I don't care. I still love you as a friend. But if you try something and something changes, you know, and especially like even like today, it's like a, you know, buy one, get one half off Amare Kids Fundamental Kids Packs. And I'm like, dude, go check it out. Like, I'm not pressuring you. I'm just saying, I got something for you. If you want it, take it. So how have you seen friends of yours that maybe were like, oh, whatever, Janae, like us, right? We're like, I don't need something else.
Yeah.
Have you seen people's lives like just literally change from making some simple changes in their own daily regimens?
It's so fun to see. I have a friend who she might have tried Amari around the same time as you. I can't remember. And the changes in her are so fun to watch. And I've been thinking about this week, actually, just how amazing our bodies are created. And when they work well, they really work.
Yeah.
They just do. Like, you just feel different. You can approach stressful situations differently. You have a different perspective on life. You have, I've experienced joy that I hadn't experienced. I don't remember when, but I see that in my friend too. And so it's almost more fun to see that in someone else's life than in my own. It's so exciting.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to see change in yourself.
It is.
But other people see that.
Right. Or a need in yourself.
Yeah.
Or, you know, to see how you actually come across. Like, I think we were for a long time coming across as more negative people than we thought we were. We didn't see it. And now that we're shifting away from that, now I can look back and say, oh, we were stuck. And a small change that has changed, the foundation of the way our bodies function has affected change in all areas.
Yeah. And like you said, the body is an amazing thing when we can get our gut speaking kindly to our gut.
Right.
And it speaks more kindly to our brain, which then is more joy, like you said. I mean, finding joy is, I think, all of our desires in our life, but it seems really far away a lot of times to even get there. It
seems elusive. And I grew up being taught that joy is a choice and happiness is a choice. And there is definitely truth to that. But if you haven't experienced a true joy, you don't know what you're choosing.
Yeah, I don't know why an analogy my car came into this, right? It's like if there's a little chink in like the timing belt or one of the spools that goes across, right? And over time, it's not that big a deal. But, I mean, over time, it is a big deal.
Right.
And you start hearing that sound in the engine. Like I have a Yukon, a 2005 GMC Yukon, has 317,000 miles on it, right? And these little sounds are starting, and I was like, I'm not putting our dime in that thing because it's time for a new car, right? I'll push it to the limit. I'm like, okay, it's time to just get something new. But you can hear that going, and then you can hear kind of something else going. You're okay, the system is off.
Yeah.
So we relate that back to our bodies, and I'm grateful that you found a solution for your daughter, which oddly enough, you're like, oh, I'll try some of that mood stuff. I'm like, and then you're like, maybe I need to make some changes for me. And you're definitely changing lots of people's lives out there and what you do. And in the midst, again, of moving and all the things that you have going on, to see a calmness in these big life transitions is huge. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for your next chapter too, and what you guys are doing. And hey, if y'all are looking for an amazing house to buy
in Greeley,
we're going to post a link later and you can go buy that house and all that fun stuff. What else do you want to kind of share about your journey, story, kind of what's going on now, encouraging people? Because Andrew and I are going to come back on Friday and kind of talk a little bit more about kind of like another avenue for Amare on the, like the wellness partner side of things. But for today, I just want to give people this encouragement. Say, hey, if you need an option or a choice, what would you encourage them to take?
I found in talking to people that people are often like I was, not thinking they need help. And so I would encourage people, if there's something that you're questioning, like, I don't think this is right, but it must be because this is the way life is, that's a warning sign that you probably do need to ask for help or look for a solution, whatever it is. And Amare has been that for us. We tried lots of different things, and Amare has been that for us. And it's worth a try. But whether you try Amare or not, I would say listen to that voice and trust your gut, right?
Yeah, right.
It's a real thing. Gut health impacts your whole system, and your gut feeling is probably right. But if there's something wrong, you probably should look for a solution.
If there's something wrong, it's probably right. It's, and it's the other thing, like when if you're going to follow a leader or follow somebody, right? Or especially now today with all the changes going on and you see something on things like you got to go to the source, right? And if the source is going to mislead you, like an unhealthy gut, it's going to lead us towards poor decisions and all those kind of things. So it's like, what are you going to lead or be led?
Right.
Right. If you want to lead your body and your heart, then show it how to go instead of just like, oh, well, okay, check that out. But again, you don't know until you try something. And I want to throw this out to people too, because part of the reason we're here is to say, hey, here's a great potential solution or aid for your plights in your life right now. But in that, if 6 months from now you don't feel better, if 3 months from now the daughter's still throwing a tantrum and we're trying the stuff you say, the beautiful thing about it is what, Janae?
You can get your money back. Like
Boom.
you have nothing to lose.
Yeah. That's a huge thing too. I don't know many places you can just go try something and if it works, but the benefits are huge.
Yeah.
And again, for me, I'll say, and people know how busy, how full my plate is. I hate the word busy, how full my plate is. And I only have 2 kids, right? But it's full. But before it used to be like if I dropped an ice cube out of the freezer,
Mm-hmm.
right, I would throw the ice cube in the sink because I was pissed off at the ice cube. I'm like, who does that?
Yeah.
Right? But we do that, right? We get frustrated. It's like, why? This is an inanimate object controlling my life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when the ice cube falls on the floor, I'm like, oh, I'll get it in a second. I'm gonna finish filling my cup.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to be very edgy, very agitated, and I can still be that way sometimes. And that goes back to my diet because my diet's still not the best. But I'm definitely more in balance and in check than I used to be. And I will just want to say to you guys and you and your husband for his persistence of pursuing us from afar. For 6 months and just saying, hey, I'm telling you, this stuff will help you. And I was like, whatever. No, I don't want to do another thing, because I was looking at it from a couple different angles. I'm like, no, but once I did, I found benefit and I was like, I feel good. So I stopped.
Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, oh, wow, it's wrong. Oh, well, gosh. Okay. Boom. And hit this. But now I'm looking at it from my whole family's perspective and my kids, and seeing a change in them is cool. So thanks for helping us change our family.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah, and I hope you have a great day moving. You can get off the floor now in your little isolated room and get those projects done. So have a good one and say hi to Tim for me.
I will. You too.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to hop on. I mean, it's a cool thing when you can hear from other people and the journey, but I'm in your life for a reason. We've come across each other, that we pay attention to each other on social media and whatever it is, and you tapped into this for the reason I put up there about anxiety and stress being like here. What if we could get it to here? So I just want to encourage you that are still on, have hung with us for this last hour, that, if your body is not where you kind of want it to be, if things are stressing you out more than you would like, if your sleep isn't good, if, you have heart struggles, whatever it might be, and you're looking for a cool community to be a part of, or just, hey, try some products and see what it does in your life. Amare, if you go here and you go look at the programs tab, it's all about fitness and mental health and mindfulness and bringing this whole world in. So, even if I can, let me see here, if I can go show you, I'm going to go show you this real quick, because this is actually really kind of cool. Actually, we'll do that on Friday, but I want to show you that, but actually we'll do it now because there's a few people on. But check this out. Like, if you looked at like an avenue, and we'll go do, actually I'm gonna bring it down here. I don't even know. Actually, I'll do that on Friday. So come back on Friday, we'll do that. But to be able to look at things that like the community aspect of like fitness and health and nutrition and community and positive people, like Janae and Andrew are awesome, positive people, and I love connect with them. So anyway, if your life's not where you want it to be and you feel like you got butterflies in your stomach a ton, it's time to get your gut and brain aligned. So if you go to gutbrainaccess123.com, check it out. Just scroll around, hit me up if you got any questions. They got some killer promotions in today. But I'm here to be support, but my story is an open book, and I'm a lot more imbalanced today than I used to be last year. So hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you later. Bye.